Can you guys hear me? Okay. Well, I've got a great example of everything that's been talked about already. I've put together a collaboration community using just about everything that they've already talked about. Excuse me. In November 2005, President Bush gave a speech at the NIH announcing the National Pandemic Plan. In the speech, he mentioned gathering information from outside our own communities by going all over the US government, universities, private industry, and collecting, because a potential pandemic influenza touches everybody, not just one agency, touches all industry, healthcare, everything. Nobody's not going to be affected by something like that. I began collecting open source information, and then soon after that, Tom's office, through my management at the CIO's office, I was tasked to put together a tool for the community with all the resources you could get using the Interlink tools and services on the unclassified network. Following the cue from senior management and through what the president said, I knew I could put together a collaborative community using the tools we already had. So I started off doing that. And I'm going to walk you through the steps that I took to put it all together. The first thing I had to do was get to know the avian flu topic. I didn't know what it was. My background's criminal investigation. I didn't have the first clue about avian flu, so I started doing some basic research. I read lots of books, talked to a lot of people, started off with a book by John Barry called The Great Influenza, which is a good primer for learning about the topic if you're interested in it. I used the basic open source methods I'd use for doing any kind of investigation. I hit Google and I looked at US government agencies, military, universities. I found a comprehensive list of every medical university in the country that taught both medical, vet med, agriculture, poultry science, and looked for the heads of all the departments to find the people who knew what they were talking about. I went to international organizations, private industry. I picked up the avian influenza was pretty big in the news after the president's speech, so a lot of the big networks were doing interviews with a lot of the people who knew what they were talking about. So I took those names of the people that were interviewed, Googled them, found out their email address, their phone numbers, contacted them, told them what I was going to do. At first, nobody really wanted to get involved with anybody from the intelligence community, but when I said I was with the DNI's office, we had no reputation, pretty new, wasn't one of those agencies that had a reputation that nobody wanted to work with. This was right after Katrina. Nobody wanted to participate. One of the first things they asked me if I was with DHS, and I said no. So they were willing to take the risk and work with me. I found, just by doing simple online searches, conference rosters from assemblies like this. Those are all online. I went and captured all the names of people who attended and who I thought were going to be professionals in this field I was looking for. Scrounged up their email addresses, professional publications, a lot of the journals, people who wrote articles like in JAMA, the journal Nature, anything that has to do with public health. I gathered all the authors of the papers that were writing on avian influenza, and I captured their email addresses and started sending them information. One of my goals was to create a culture of collaboration that crossed diverse communities with a common goal, and the common goal was everybody had the common interest of stopping or slowing the spread of H5N1 and saving lives ultimately. Once I gathered everybody's information, I had this pool of people who I wanted to start reaching out to. So I came up with this product. I call it the Avian Influenza Daily Digest. I go through tons of information that comes in every day. Not all of it's good. I use the RSS feeds, Google searches. I use a service by Georgetown University called Argus, which goes out and collects all the foreign information all from the foreign newspapers. They have human translators instead of machine translation. I go on and look for anything H5N1 related. Gather that, I put it all into a digest where It's got what's going on in the last 24 hours. It went out to everybody on that list. The list initially started off with about 100 people, but now has grown to over 1,200 experts and POCs throughout the government and around the world. And these people have become comfortable with me because they see my name come in their email box every day, building a rapport with a core group of them. And some of them are lurkers, consumers of the information. I don't really hear from them except when I need them. But some of them have gotten comfortable enough to be quite outspoken in their opinions. Sometimes I follow the public blogs. There's a lot of blogs online about the avian flu. Some of them are pretty out there, pretty conspiracy theory. Aliens brought it here. Crazy theories. And there's one that's kind of on the fringe. It's done by a professor, not sure where. He doesn't use his real name. But he's got some interesting theories. And I knew so much about avian influenza, I didn't know the technical parts of what might or might not be possible. So I was following this blog, putting things in now and then. And every time I hit a dud, and they tell me now, they'll write me back and say, hey, this is just, don't do that. You're wasting my time, I don't want to read it. So I can count on them as a group to tell me what's good, what's bad, when I do hit a dud once in a while. The core part about collaboration isn't necessarily the tools, the high-tech stuff that we use. I found it's about personal relationships with the people you're working with. You have to build rapport. They have to know you. They have to trust you, because I'm working with people that typically don't work with the intelligence community. I'm working with a lot of public health, a lot of international health. They don't typically like to share information, but once you spend time, they get to know you, talk on the phone, meet them in person, you build some rapport, and they're willing to take a little risk and see if I can be trusted with the information. I have a story about one of the people that I work with. My collaborators I'll call him Dr. D. He works for the USDA. He's close to retirement, pretty funny, very thick Indian accent. So we don't talk on the phone so much because I can't understand him at all. So we talk by email. I've been sending him information in his specialty when I find it. He's more in the food safety within USDA, but that crosses over into avian influenza also. I send him information, getting to know each other. He sent me a photo of his recent vacation to Alaska, and I could tell from previous exchanges that he had a pretty good sense of humor. So I took the photo and I did a quick Google search for the Loch Ness Monster. I put the little monster in the water, sent it back to him, put it in Photoshop and sent it back to him, and I asked what that shadowy figure was on the picture. And he writes me back the next morning with great surprise, wondering why he didn't notice that in the water when he took the picture. And then I had to confess that I actually did it, and he thought that was hysterical, and now he's sending it to all his friends and family with a big tall tale to go along with it. What that did was enhance the rapport that we already had. It only took a few minutes. I genuinely like the guy. He's a really nice guy. But what that did was formed a tighter, I've never met him, tighter virtual relationship. And now he's offered, anytime I can help you, just call me. So when something breaks out in India, H5, I don't have a lot of people there right now that can get me to ground truth. There's not a lot of people that I know there. So I'll call Dr. D, and in the middle of the night here, he'll call back home to universities he's been at before, friends, colleagues, and they call their friends, and by the morning he'll have some ground truth for me on what's really going on, and I send it out to the rest of my community, and it's greatly appreciated. And I know you're all dying to see the picture of Alaska, so there's the picture of Alaska before, the one he sent me, and there's the Loch Ness Monster. And really that took like 5 minutes to do, and he got great mileage out of that with him. One of my goals in this community is demonstrating that productive information sharing and collaboration can transcend organizational boundaries. Before working with all these public health communities, I got the feeling that there wasn't a great amount of communication between the intelligence community and the public health community. They didn't want to talk to me. They asked me how many PhDs I had. I said none. They were leery of working with me. So I just kept at it and kept sending them that daily digest every day. They saw my name every day. I'm sending them information every day. And pretty soon, when I ask them a question, they're more than willing to help me out. They're very responsive. And this goes down from the lowest level to Admiral Lawrence. He's the Deputy Surgeon General, and we're at a point now where I can call him and ask him questions and get feedback. He'll schedule 30 minutes for me and tell me what he thinks and give me some really great advice. The hardest part about this whole collaboration is getting the people talking. I've got all these people. It's up to 1,200, like I said now. It's like having a party of people that don't know each other in a room and nobody's talking. It takes me, I have to go and like stir it up, ask questions. I have a database with everybody's expertise, specialties listed in the database, and every once in a while I'll go and do some sorts for who's doing data modeling with this particular problem, and I'll link up a Los Alamos person with an NIH person. They're working on the exact same thing, but they didn't know it. So I'll introduce them virtually over email. Everybody's stuck on email. Get them talking, and then they're off on their own. It's happened many times. Especially with universities, there's a lot of grants available, and people working on special problems, especially with building databases. And I found a professor at University of Colorado, along with a professor at MIT. They were working on almost the exact same data modeling problem. Hooked them up. Now they're working together. There's still some competition because there's money involved with grants, but they're at least collaborating and doing way better things than they could have without knowing each other. You need tools to get people talking when people live all over the world. You've got language problems, you've got time issues, you can't always get on the phone, not everybody's available, half the people are traveling all the time. That's the beauty of this digest, because I've got a big following of people who have these wireless devices like Blackberries or whatever that can receive their email. Dr. David Navarro at the UN, he gets my daily digest every day on his Blackberry and responds on a particular problem that he wants me to follow up on, see somebody else on. People are busy, they don't have time to go and log into a system all the time, so I push it out to them. And that's been, in feedback I've received, greatly appreciated for the people that are really busy. They can scan through what's going on in the last 24 hours and respond to what is of interest to them specifically. Now I'm going to show you the fun stuff. I'm going to take you to Intellink, which is the DNI's unclassified network. If it works here. Can you switch over to the internet? Now this is live, and things happen, so I hope it works. Anybody have any questions while it's loading? Let me try my other site. Okay, we'll look at that. We'll come back to that in a second. I'm not sure what's going on. Basically, what I built was a website on Intellink showing, if you've heard of Intellink My Pages, it's where anybody who has an account on Intellink can set up their own page. And what I did was I set up kind of an information hub. You can get anything ever published pretty much on this website, which I can't show you. It has The AI digest also shows up there, so when I enter something in the database, it'll pop up there right then if you can't wait for the next day when it comes out, when the digest is issued. Okay, and so what was happening was in the last year or so, the reports of AI outbreaks were becoming very fast. The reporting was becoming very fast. There's outbreaks going on all over the place. And I'm a visual person, I'm an analyst, I like to draw pictures, I understand it better. And I know a lot of other people are like that too. So I needed a way to plot where these outbreaks were happening. I've got confirmed, I've got suspected ones that you hear in the media, and then I've got kind of a watched area where they're reported on blogs, but not really in the media yet. So I developed 3 different classifications: confirmed outbreaks, suspected, and watched areas for human and poultry and the migratory birds that also carry the virus. And I asked if I could get some sort of mapping system, and my management said, sure, if you can do it for free. So I went to NGA begging, and NGA responded. I was very pleased. They set me up with a developer, software engineer, and a GIS specialist, and I explained what I needed. And I told them that most of my people that I collaborate with are not US government. A lot of them are foreign. Most of them, the majority of them, are in public health, so they have no clearances. So we need to make this completely unclassified and accessible to anyone who has the need to know. And so that's what they did. So hopefully this will work and I can show you. Is this plugged in? Can somebody check and see if I'm hooked up anywhere? Okay. It's working? Okay. Can you make it go faster? It's still in the beta phase, and right now we haven't developed policy to allow the foreigners in. Nobody's used to playing with the foreigners, and that's where most of my information comes from. I've just from sending out the digest and getting referrals of people. I get very few people cold coming to me saying, hey, can I have an account? I always go and find them because I want to know who I'm dealing with, or else they get referred by other experts. And even though 1,200 people is a very large crowd, they'll weed out the intruders and boot them out. They know the names, everybody's been to conferences. If I've put together a panel of people, one from each agency, CIA, USDA, USAID, State Department, and DHS, for vetting these people who come to me that I don't know, people who don't live in the US, and who we need their information. So I've put together a panel of people. We're trying to come up with some sort of policy to allow them in. This network is not connected to anything else. It sits by itself in a server room at NGA. It's not connected except the outside internet. So there's no risk, I think, in letting those people in. I also deal with the press, which is highly unordinary. I found the best health reporters out there. There's some really good ones. One's from Reuters, one's from Bloomberg, and one's from the Canadian press. And I've seen these people at H5N1 conferences. They're referred to by the real experts. So I approached them and I said, hey, can I give you this free digest every day? And they, sure, yeah. So they take it, and what happens is when there's an outbreak in Bangladesh, I'll call my Bloomberg guy who lives in Australia, who has a huge network of people on the ground in Bangladesh, and before I can use my usual routes to get the information of what's really going on, he'll call me back or email me back with ground truth or suspected ground truth. And then I can run down specifics, like which village it's in, what farm it's in, give it to USAID. They send a team out, or somebody might be already there, and they'll go and check it out. It happens within hours. When something breaks out, these people are used to me giving them good information, and they'll respond to it. I still hit duds once in a while. There's something broke out in the Congo last week where people were just 300 people dropped dead over a period of days, and nobody could identify it. It's undetected or unidentified infectious disease, and it was moving rapidly, and it could have been Ebola, it could have been typhoid, but I don't know. I'm not a public health person, so I gave it to the people who did know, and they got people down there to check it out. So what I'm doing could be applied to any topic in the IC. You could do this with terrorism, you could do it with global warming, you could do it with anything that has lots of unclassified. You can even move this to the high side and do it there. Use classified geospatial instead of unclassified. Is there anything we can do about this? Copy and paste the URL. This happened on Capitol Hill. I was doing a briefing, got to this point, and it just didn't work. Never happens to me.
Did you use any tools or make any tools available for the language problem?
Yeah, the Argus. Those people are great. They're at Georgetown University, and they have a whole staff of analysts that speak just about every language known. And so when I have a problem, I'll take it to them. I know their director, Jim Wilson, and we collaborate every day, sometimes several times a day. And I'll take it to them, and they'll get back to me really quick. Oh. What do you consider the most successful technology for sharing collaboration today? I like Interlink. It's free, and it's already up, and it's running, and it's got all the tools necessary. It's got Wikipedia, it's got blogs, it's got forums. The one problem I ran into was because the people that I deal with live all over the world. They don't qualify for an Interlink account. So I had to come up with a way for them to join in our conversations without all the restrictions of Interlink. But Interlink has, I'm sure all of you have used it, or most of you have used it. It's got great potential. The problem is getting the people to talk. You've got to have somebody dedicated that knows the subject matter and constantly stirring the people up and getting them to talk, ask questions, seed the boards with simple questions, and then people chime in and answer them. Any more questions? The power of one. When the one wants to take a vacation, I have to carry my iPhone on the beach. And I was at the Outer Banks this summer, and I was responding to people all over the world. I'm on vacation, I'll talk to you in a week. But ideally, it would be a team of 2 or 3. But this is the first time, as I understand it, that this has been done. And it's very exciting, it's very fun, and it's doing some really great things. So I get a lot of feedback, and from high levels to low levels, and it's helping a lot of people. Let me see. There are folks inside the IC and DoD doing work in the avian flu. Yeah, I've connected with every agency. DHS, I'd say I haven't figured out the key people in there yet. I've got a couple people that's the one agency where I'm not working really well with them yet. I'm pursuing them, but that would be really difficult. I think they're divided into so many different areas. They've got infrastructure protection and all these different areas, and they're not sure which person to connect with me. But every other agency, yeah. No, the Avian mapping website is hosted at NGA. There's a question, I'm not sure, I think this might be a connectivity problem. I usually get into it right away. I have even when I do, like when I'm here, I don't do my deliverable. I send out a note. I treat this crowd of people that I work with, talk to them like I would talk to anybody else. I say, hey, I'm going to be at a conference next few days. Daily deliverables, but not going to be out. You guys work it out amongst yourselves, and I'll be back on Friday. And I do it like that. So if I had a backup, it would be different. But everybody's pretty good with working with when I can't be there. Anything else? Is this just not going to work?
Let me make a suggestion here. There's only about 420 of you out there. Claudine has demonstrated she can communicate with 1,200 people. So what we're going to do is get back on schedule here. We can see this demo by all of you just gathering around Claudine at any time. She'll be here for the entire time. And if I'll ask you to take your break now, thank Claudine just before she leaves, be back here. I know you'll all make fools of me, but be back here at 11 and we'll be back on schedule. For those who do not know it, the coffee room is right across the hall here, and everything that's being said and seen in here can be heard and seen in there. So let's be back at 11. Thank you very much. Well, it's the number of people that are on this site.
Oh.